Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was Long Island. But with the great vision of men, women, and organizations, they have become great beacons for our nation. Today we meet Eric Alexander, the director of Vision Long Island, who's going to share his vision and the organization's vision for the potential that Long Island can be. Please welcome Eric Alexander. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to hear you.
Yeah.
I'm hear you and see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. So let's talk about Vision Long Island and what it is.
Sure. Vision Long Island is a not-for-profit organization focused on downtown revitalization, infrastructure investment, getting our fair share of dollars for sewers and traffic and transportation, and also all planned by local communities. So when you say it's our vision, it's really what we're trying to do is magnify the vision of local leaders, civics, chambers, local government, and try to have the plans for their communities realized.
So I have a question for you. Isn't that what has already been happening?
I mean, before we came on board, there was a certain type of planning. We formed in the mid-90s. For years, Long Island was an automobile-oriented suburb where you would, for 60 years since World War II, and and Robert Moses and William Levitt, they organized Long Island in a way that you had to drive to get to everything. But before their plans, there were actually downtown areas that functioned with trolleys and really more walkable streets and mixed-use development in our downtown areas where people lived. Apartments folks lived on Main Street, folks shopped at local stores. And then the experiment of what they call suburban sprawl happened, where we would drive to malls, eventually big box stores, strip malls, office parks. Everything was separated, and even where you lived was separated by, and you had to get in a car to get to everything. So what we got involved with over 20 years ago was maybe there are some areas of Long Island that can be walkable, that could have the old traditional Main Street, and could have housing options for real people, could have parks and plazas and public spaces and events, all centered around the downtown area. And that is what our organization is focused on. So that's, the vision really going back to the vision of, when Long Island was really formed years ago when we first populated.
And we're seeing, when we've seen it, in Great Neck, a lot of your influence and support have also been realized here. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. I mean, in Great Neck Plaza, and certainly not our vision. I mean, I think you have a mayor that's elected in Great Neck Plaza. Jean Selinger is phenomenal. She's won awards from our organization for her great work, really trying to make sure that there's a walkable business district, there's safe walkable streets, there's a mix of housing for folks. They have approved housing developments on Bond Street and some others right by the train station that have been really well received. And just trying to make sure that, clearly there's an arts center and active cultural use. There's murals. There's all sorts of initiatives that she's led with a lot of her residents and business owners. And that's the type of thing that we see across Long Island. Around Long Island, there are 40 downtown revitalization. There are 40 communities that have at least a plan for downtown revitalization and have approved at least one project. So while Long Island has 100 business districts, 40 of them are focused on downtown redevelopment.
And the work that your organization does is not just about like going in and saying, hey, this is what you should do. It really is also about advocacy and going to the top. So going to local government, going to federal government, state government. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So our philosophy is really truly bottom up, meaning the local residents are the best equipped to know what they want and what their future should be. And we don't socially engineer. We don't come in and tell them what to do. We take their ideas and then we try to add power to their public voice by going to Washington, going to Albany, to try to get our fair share of dollars from these higher levels of government. We have a Long Island Lobby Coalition, which is almost 100 groups, and we bring all these different civics and chambers from all these different communities across Long Island to bond together with a common agenda. And we've passed a lot of legislation, a lot of billions of dollars in the various budgets to magnify these individual projects, these community projects, and bring home some dollars for Long Island communities.
And someone such as myself who wants to create a community where it is walkable, or I guess better inhabitable, if that makes sense for myself, maybe future generations.
Right.
What is it that I can do? Because you mentioned that you don't tell people what to do, but how do you empower? What are the steps for someone like me to get to the level where I can say, this is what I need, Eric, this is what I want?
Sure. So, we first off, we try to get people in some strange way off social media. Mm-hmm. Social media is this oddball kind of place where people are fighting and conflicting. What we try to do is get folks to work together with a common cause, because one individual voice may be nice for a Facebook post or a rant at 2 a.m, but quite frankly, when you have your neighbors mobilized in the form of a civic organization or a chamber of commerce, it carries much more weight because there's a real constituency behind your need and your desire. So we try to encourage folks to be part of civics and chambers, part of their local government, but also folks come on the bus with us to Albany. They write letters, they make phone calls, they show up at local meetings, they promote their downtown area, and sometimes they participate in various events to try to get the right types of events in their downtowns that they want to see. So it's a range of things. It really depends on how much time you have and what type of resources you want to bring to the table. But we encourage people to do their work locally, meaning where they live or where they work, because that's most effective. Because people listen, local officials on Long Island will listen to local voices. Real people live in real places. That's what I like to say. So
just for our viewer out there, just let me make sure I have this right. So we can write letters to our local politicians. Yep. We can go to community meetings. Yep. And we can call our representatives in Congress, and those things will help.
That will help. I think Congress, whether it be if it's a congressional issue about bringing money for sewers, for example, into a community, or for transportation. On the statewide level, there's a whole range of money, economic development money for local media, for downtown areas, for arts. On the local level in the county, and also for housing is very important too. On the county level, there are things that you can weigh in on as far as county roads and whether development should get a tax benefit or not, depending on the management of local projects. And then when you get to the town and village level, should this building be 3 stories tall or 4 stories tall? Mm-hmm. Should this building look the way it's proposed? Mm-hmm. Should this building have the right mix of activities in it? Should we have retail? Should we have office? Should we have some special use for entertainment space or what have you? So it depends on the level of government you're weighing in on and really the issue you care about. Mm-hmm. But in what we try to do is, as far as looking at a downtown in its totality, it needs a whole range of things to be healthy. Okay.
One of the terms that is very apparent on the website and something you use, especially now, is smart growth, right? Sure. Why smart growth? Why is it not just growth? What is this smart growth, I guess, ideology?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a set of planning principles that came up in the 90s, because for years, the development community was just talking about, we like growth, no matter what. Any growth is good. And we had the environmental community saying, don't do growth, all growth is bad. So, that was happening. That battle was waging through the 90s and for many years prior, decades prior. The movement formed across the country, and we were part of it in the mid-90s when we formed, which was, there's a set of planning principles. If you're gonna grow, have development provide things that benefit the public. Housing choices, not just very wealthy luxury housing, but affordable housing. Protect and preserve historic preservation. So don't tear down every building. If there's some buildings that are historic, protect them, or at least design them in ways that add character to a local community. Have some public space, have some art space and music and culture and places where people gather. Have a range of transportation options that you need, not just automobile. Have safe, walkable streets for walking and biking. So I can go on, and eventually they added a principle of clean energy options and renewable energy options. So these principles come into play to say, all right, we're not just saying no growth, and we're not just saying growth everywhere. Let's focus on getting the types of growth that give something back. And that's been our organization's mission for 22 years. And we're happy to say that there's 120 development projects in our different downtowns that are yielding transit-oriented development housing, but they provide a series of public benefits to local communities that have really made our downtowns come back to life, many of them.
What have been some of the challenges with the smart growth or revitalizing downtowns?
Sure.
I'm sure there has been.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge we found, we used to think, we were always told that it's the local communities that are the problem, and the residents that are the problem. They're what they call NIMBYs, not in my backyard, we don't want any growth, And we listened to that, and a lot of very smart people told us that. What we found that's not really the problem. On a hyper-local level, people know to work together. They have to. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter what their persuasion are. On a local level, folks will come together and solve problems. What we're finding is, after years of doing this, some of the big challenges, people don't trust big things. They don't trust big media. They don't trust big, even not-for-profits. We're always trying to be appear very small and be very local in the way we work. They don't trust big business, big developers, and the problem with all those things is they just don't trust, and the era of people in nice suits walking into communities and telling them, do this, or else there's a problem. The top-down approach to planning. We always knew that didn't work, but that really doesn't go over well. So we try to limit the influence of very top-down styles of, I call it cocktail party planning. There's a handful of people in a cocktail party want to do something somewhere, and they want to just make it happen, and then they hire people that'll go in and try to make something happen, and it doesn't go over well. You got to work genuinely with people in communities and try to come up with something that works. Sometimes it's compromise all around, sometimes it's consensus. But process matters. Okay. Process really matters. And sometimes we forget that. We're so busy. I just want to get this one thing done. You got to talk to people. You got to work with people. We've had situations where developers show up at the hearing and they're meeting their neighbors for the first time. It doesn't go well. Right. Don't do that. So those are the biggest barriers right now. It's just top-down planning and not being attentive to process and seeing what you're giving back. What's beneficial to the community.
Okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Sure.
But it's all love.
Go.
So, a lot of people would say that, so let's talk about shop local. Let's talk about, again, shop local is important, right? It's how we keep our communities moving and growing. But then people will say, well, we need to bring in more jobs as well. We need to bring in more organizations, big organizations. Yeah. So in the case of like an Amazon, which was a big deal, across the board, what do you think were the difficulties for Amazon, or at least is it the NIMBYs that were like, you guys don't belong here? Yeah,
I think this goes back to process.
Right.
So you're a $1 trillion company. You come to our region. You don't hire any New Yorkers to talk to New Yorkers. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it back there.
Right.
Look, it's way above my pay grade. I'm not a trillionaire. I'm not. I'm going to be real clear.
I don't know, you're like a trillionaire.
No, thank you. No, but I'm not, clearly. So, look, these guys are very successful. They know what they're doing. But when you come into a neighborhood, you need to work with people. And if you don't have the people on your team that can successfully connect with real people, hire some. There's New Yorkers that would have worked for you that could have translated what the community's needs were. Look, let's face what some of their needs were. 25,000 more jobs coming in, you need transportation. 25,000 more jobs coming in, there's worries about gentrification, so maybe they need some affordable housing built. 25,000 jobs coming in, Are those jobs going to benefit the people in that neighborhood? So maybe they need some training to get to those jobs, or maybe there's a certain portion of those they could set aside to hire local. These are just common sense things that come out of most development projects. For some reason in this deal, those kinds of conversations didn't come up to the front of the conversation, and unfortunately, and we supported, our organization supported, not that people care what Vision Long Island thinks related to development in Queens.
I care.
Well, of course, thank you for asking.
I care.
But the reality is that they, the folks that decided this, whether it be certainly the governor and the mayor or the Amazon leadership team, felt that they didn't want to hang in there to work out a deal. They, and particularly Amazon folks, just wanted to say, you know what, this is too difficult, we can't get it done. I think even most ardent opponents would have hung in there to make something work there. I believe that.
So you guys are doing some incredible work. We know that. You've grown, you have your conference. Can you tell us a little about the summit? Yeah. Tell us about the summit. Sure. And then I want to dig more into the mind of what you are seeing for Vision Long Island, but also for Long Island in general. Sure.
Okay. Well, our summit is our Long Island Smart Growth Summit. We've done 18 of them. It started the first year we did them with about 400 or 500 people. The concept was, because Long Island is a community of communities, we're not really a region. So all these communities can gather and come together in at least one day a year. So we invite all the town supervisors, a lot of local mayors, both county execs, and each year we check in on how our downtown's doing. How's our infrastructure looking? How are our small businesses doing? How's the environment doing? How are our walkable streets or not so walkable streets? So let's measure, let's assess how our energy systems, our sewer systems. So we do 20 breakout sessions. We do a major state of town and villages panel. We focus on for breakfast, and then we have at lunch we have a session more focused on the region's direction. And we focus on major development projects. This year was the Nassau Hub, and we talked about Ronkonkoma and Hub and the Heartland, Town Square. So those are some of the major big projects that we tackle. So the idea really is to bring everyone together. We had 82 elected officials. We had 40, those 40 communities. We had 200 community leaders there. They each brought about five leaders to their from their community. We had 40 transit-oriented development developers, because some developers are joyfully hostile to building downtown, and some actually like the concept of building downtown. So there's no one universal truth about the development community. Same can be said for almost any community. There are some environmentalists that were there who really love the concept of building around train stations. There are some environmentalists that are really hostile to any building at all. People have different interests. So we bring together, this year was 1,200 folks. We've had more than 1,000 for the last almost dozen years now. And they all come together. And what the theme this year was collaboration and better communication, which certainly is a communication professional you get. That's why I wanted to be on your show. So we got to communicate better, we got to build up trust, and we got to find ways to collaborate even when it's painful, And it's about rowing in the same direction, and it's about getting past all these divisions.
I think you're definitely getting the message out. I trust you.
Okay.
I trust you, and we're communicating.
Yeah, we are. We're communicating.
Yeah, it's good. Look, we're doing big things here.
Yeah, all right. I love it.
So what is the vision that you have for the next, or what's the planning, what's the goal, strategic plan for Vision Long Island and Long Island at large? And I know there's a lot to be done. I know you said process, and I know things will take time, but what are the things that you're really putting a catalyst under to say this is where we need to focus? Sure.
So it's a few things, and each year, I always joke, the overarching theme, we joke internally, high standards, tempered by pragmatism. There's folks in our organization that really, really want to push to the heights, and sometimes you have to kind of downshift a little bit and be real. But what we want to see is our main streets. We got these 40 main streets, 40 downtowns on Long Island. 15 of them folks know and are identified as just awesome places, and they're doing great. Whether it be Farmingdale, whether it be Patchogue, whether it be Bayshore, whether it be Westbury now, whether it be Great Neck Plaza, Rockville Center, Huntington Village. these places are doing well. There's another 10, 12 that can be great, need a little help. And they need some more projects, they need some more consensus building, they need some more public money. And then there's another 10 or 12 that are finding their way. They have maybe 1 or 2 projects approved. There might be some political infighting, there might be some pushback. So what we're trying to do is move everybody over a little bit into a slightly better place. Those places that are second tier, they need to be more promoted. They need to maybe get different mix of retail. Maybe they need another couple hundred units of housing to get more feet on the street. Maybe there are some places that don't have some public space. You got a great downtown, but there's not a place for people to gather. Maybe there's some places that have great events, but when the events are gone, there's not enough, economic activity on Main Street for people to go there regularly. So I'm not going to pick on which one needs what, on camera here, but everybody's got a set of needs. Yes. So the key is to see where our state and federal dollars can assist, try to provide a little matchmaking. So we're going to be a little more focused. We formed the Long Island Main Street Alliance, which can involve regular people into, like yourself and others.
How do I join?
How do you want to help?
How do I join?
You can email us, info@visionlongisland.org. And also reach out to us on Facebook. We really want to connect with people directly. Social media is one thing, gets a little polarized. All you have to do is no money to join, but we need you to agree with the principle of bottom-up planning to grow your Main Street.
I agree.
All right, high five. All
right.
We're in. So we've just got 500 members. Just literally, we've been up a month.
Just 500 members in a month.
Just started.
Okay,
but we're going to grow it through the years. And the key is, of those 500 people, there's 10 and 20 in different places. We're going to just grow those voices locally and get them plugged into their community. And it's not about our vision per se. Our vision, again, is what it's always been. Support the downtowns and get our fair share of dollars for our region. But local people have to plan it. That's the biggest thing. The biggest hurdle is people don't understand that. Sometimes people think that we have this agenda for everyone. Let me tell you. I went to a community, and not to pick on them, but I laugh. I went to Wantagh. I went to the Wantagh Chamber.
Okay.
And I sat with them, and I showed them pictures of Farmingdale that had 3-story buildings. They're like, we don't want 3-story buildings. We like 2-story buildings. I'm saying, all right, I hear you, but downtown growth can't happen unless it's 3 stories or more, because just economically it doesn't work. And I'm like, we're probably not for you. And they're like, yeah. We probably want to stay exactly as we are. So I said, okay, I'll leave you alone. I'll make sure there's no developers coming your way to build 3- and 4-story buildings. Don't do that. And we'll leave people alone. If they don't want growth and change, they want to keep their downtown exactly as it is, bless them. They can do that, But if you want change for the better, we'll help you work in that direction, So, we only go when we're invited as an organization too. It's another principle people don't understand. They're like, why are you here? I'm like, thankfully, what I've been doing is saving in my phone the invites from all the people. I say, no, this one asked us to be here tonight. So it's really just about communication and respect too. It's really easy to point fingers in this culture. Everyone else is to blame but yourself. I mean, our organization made mistakes. We've made mistakes through the years.
I've made mistakes.
Yeah, we got kicked out of a community one time in Kings Park. When 3,000 people said, we don't like this vision, you're out. And 10 years later, the community reached out and said, you know what, we want a downscaled version of the vision, that we were working together on. We just didn't want it so big. So we worked on their plan, and we got them some money for sewers. And their downtown's going to be lifting off. Actually, a press conference in a couple of weeks on a little initiative there. So the good news is, you take ownership for things that don't work. You keep trying. You keep working on it. And it's just like life.
Right. Yeah.
You just keep working on any relationship you have.
Right. And for the viewer who's watching, this is just to highlight that you guys aren't just bullying your way in.
Right.
You're being invited.
Yep.
And because of what you believe in, the trust and creation, that it doesn't have to necessarily be this plan. It can be a plan, and it can be collectively worked on.
Yep.
Which is powerful, because I think lots of times, as you said, top down, it's usually this is what it is. You guys are not that.
Yeah, we do design sessions. We have an architect on staff, and we do design sessions where we literally take input. We do visual polls. We sit around design tables and draw what certain parts of the downtown could look like, what certain buildings could look like, what the types of uses people want to see in a community. And sometimes people, they're their own worst enemy. They say, we can't get that here. I'm like, wait a second, did you even apply for a grant? Did you even speak to an operator that does that? There are some market truths that say some neighborhoods, because of their proximity to transit or the economic situation that they're facing, that certain types of uses aren't going to come to a neighborhood. But too often people really have a fatalistic approach, and we try to change that.
Okay. And just for my sense, I'm a Virgo, so for me everything has to happen like this. But these aren't just projects that happen overnight.
No.
Like just, how much time are you investing? Like, when people think downtown revitalization, and I'm like, oh, in 2 years, this will go down. But I just want to make sure that our viewer gets this idea that it's not overnight. But what's an average time for like revitalization?
Yeah, it's interesting. Some activities can happen quickly. Farmingdale is always a great example of ours. We did our first visioning meeting in 2006. They didn't approve the code until 2012 in the first projects. Then from 2012 to 2015, most of the building happened. And then the downtown's really been lifting off since then. But there was a good 10 years. Bay Shore also, probably 12 years. Patchogue was 7 or 8 years. Mineola, 10 years, Westbury, 12, 14 years, and they have a whole new phase coming now, which around by their train station, which is really transformative. They've really done it right from a planning perspective. So all these places are constantly being worked on, being transformed. So it's a journey, it's not a sprint. But there are good things that happen along the way. When you see, some things are really, in downtown Huntington, when we saw the Paramount Theater come in, and I'm sitting watching, I like heavy metal, so I'm in the mosh pit at Korn, and I'm like, oh my God, I was at the hearing and the parking approval for this place, and I'm like so happy, that I'm there,
I want photos.
There you go, there you go. So no, it's the satisfaction of sitting in a street fair, or being in a coffee shop, or being in a craft beer place or whatever, and you see the changes. Lindenhurst, which is really transforming. Great job. They have a mead, honey mead. I don't know if you ever had honey mead. It's like this really unique kind of wine. It's a beverage, it's a craft beverage. And it's like the first mead place on Long Island is there, and you go there and you're having these different types of beverages. You see the transformation. You see restaurants popping up all over, really, really popular in a lot of these downtowns. So, it's great. And then when, you see people also having housing options they didn't have before. I was in downtown Valley Stream by one of their train stations, and I saw was in a development that provides some affordable housing, and it's just great to see people have those opportunities, to live in a neighborhood or live in their own neighborhood, quite frankly. So it's just different type of housing. So it's good stuff.
Good stuff. I love the vision, and I want to join. I'm joining the Main Street Alliance. You heard it here. You heard it here, people.
All right. Cool.
So just before we head out, just one more time, how can organizations or people get in touch with you or Vision Long Island to join or to get you on board? Sure.
So email us is easiest, info@visionlongisland.org.
And it's on the screen.
Yeah, and you can call our office, 631-261-0242.
And he calls back. Let me just say, he calls back because when I called you, to come on, and I didn't even leave a message. I got a phone call like, you called me? And I was like, yes. So he's true to his word, people.
All right. No, definitely. No, we've been working in communities for years. We've done 2,500 presentations, but I think we've been in about north of 12,000 community meetings.
Wow.
Yeah. Not just me, my collective staff. It was 7 people.
I thought you was doing all
it's
of
a team out. No. I got a whole, I'm just the bald guy they put out in front of camera, So it's a good group.
Thank you so much
Thanks for being here. Rock and roll. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, if you would like to reach out to Vision Long Island, their information is on the screen. And if you would like to suggest any businesses or have any comments for us, email us at info@nstv.org. I'm your host, Karleen Leveille. Thank you for watching. Bye.